Today's video is sponsored by the team over at coastalcryptomining.com. Coastal Crypto Mining is unlike any other crypto hardware vendor in the industry. Why, you may ask? Well, their team doesn't just view you as a customer, but as a fellow passionate enthusiast. Coastal Crypto Mining's experience starts with helping you with your initial research and questions, then on to the purchase and shipping stage. Once delivered, help with your setup and configuration, and finally, any after-sales support you may need. Their team of experts strives to make your experience one of a kind, where customer service is a priority. Head on over to coastalcryptomining.com and tell them the hobbyist miner sent you. Several months ago, I retired my RX580s. With the current price of electricity, the bear market, and zero to no profitability, it didn't make sense to crypto mine with these anymore. And I was super tempted to sell them. Really glad I didn't. What is going on, miners, and welcome back to the Hobbyist Miner channel. Well, I'm excited. Today we are going to be building an 8 GPU RX580 rig. That's right, the RX580, heck yeah. So the RX580, after the Ethereum merge, really didn't know what to do with these. I mean, did you put them on Ergo? Did you put them on Flux? Leave a comment down below. What did you do, or what are you doing with your RX580s? For me, I went ahead and put them on a shelf because I was like, I really love these GPUs and I was really torn to go ahead and sell them, but they used a lot of watts and they didn't perform super well on most algorithms at that time. Well, I think I found a solution. So I can't take credit for finding a solution and an algorithm for what to do with my RX580s. There's actually a fellow crypto content creator in the scene that is well known for overclock settings and for low voltage configurations, and they just do a phenomenal job of just hammering away at a lot of these opportunities in the space where we can take our GPUs and get the most out of them for the least amount of watts. And who am I talking about? Well, this time we're talking about a content creator named Iggy Crypto. And about 10 days ago, he released a video where he's going ahead and taking his RX580s and mining KASPA with them for only 70 watts. So if you guys have been following the channel, you know that I have my mining farm back up and running, and I'm currently at about 7 cents right now based off of this long-winded video I did explaining how I got away with it. If you guys aren't familiar, I'll leave a card in the upper right hand corner as well as a comment in the video down below if you guys want to check it out as to my journey of getting 7 cents for electricity. Well, because of that, it makes sense for me to mine with my RX580s, especially on something like KASPA, where I don't have any rigs right now on KASPA. So right now, we're gonna get started in building our 8 GPU RX580 rig. All right, so I thought I'd go ahead and give a quick rundown of the hardware we're going to be using in today's video. So GPUs first, right? So we have a handful of, these are the XFX RX580s. They use an 8-pin here. Now I have replaced some of the fans pretty much after the bull run, once the bear market hit, and I did decommission these. So a lot of these, you'll see the red's a little bit discolored a tiny bit. That's just because they're newer replaced fans, but they work amazing. New pads, new paste on everything, fully cleaned. I mean, these cards literally look brand new, which is awesome. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of those units. Now this guy's a little bit different. This is actually an RX590. You can see here as well, it uses a little bit different of a power setup, an 8-pin and a 6-pin. Now, the heatsink is significantly thicker on this. The card is a tiny bit bigger than the 580s, but we are going to be using that. So we're gonna have to see how we make out with our overclock settings. Traditionally, when I was on ETH, the settings for the 590 were super similar. You could get a little bit more out with the memory and the core clock, so we'll see how that does with KASPA. One of my favorite GPUs right here, the RX580, but it is the Sapphire Nitro. These are some of the best cards out there. This is actually my one and only Pulse that I do have. Pulse was kind of a sub-model that Sapphire used to have with some of these 580s. Up top here, these are the cheaper end of the spectrum for my 580s. We have this little ASRock one, check it out, and then also this MSI. Now, both of these run phenomenal. They run just as well as my XFXs, but these are definitely more workhorses. I've seen more and more people have issues with these lower end cards like the ASRock and the MSI. You can tell as well. Let's jump over here. Let's talk about our frame and setup last, but with some of our other hardware and supporting hardware. So we are going to be using the AAA Wave here. And these are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 capacitor GPU risers. I have a bunch of these sitting around, so I was like, hell, let's use it. You know, put some of this hardware to use. These got pulled out of a rig that I did decommission, as well as with the PCI adapter cards. Over from the wiring front, we got our USB A to A cables, our PCI cables here, and then we do have our splitters. Our splitters, we're using the GPU risers splitters that have the 8-pin to 6+2. And then finally, these are our fan splitters. I love these fan splitters. So they have a 4-pin, and then on the other side, check this out. This is a beast. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different pin outs here for us, so that'll work well. And we're gonna use 2 of those because now this frame here, I did not just put this together. This was a rig that I decommissioned months back, and I leave all my rigs kind of set up like this. A lot of the guts in the middle, cabling removed, but power supplies, motherboards, everything wired up and ready to go whenever I need the rig. So we have a bunch of cooling fans in here. Now these are the SK Pool cooling fans. They do significantly better. These are, I can't remember, I wanna say, I'm gonna take a guess. I'm gonna put a link, I'm gonna put the details down below, but I'm guessing, I think it's like 100 CFM or something like that. They definitely do significantly better than a bunch of the other Delta fans out there. I love these. I wanna buy more of these. I highly recommend them. These truly do provide cooling versus some of the other ones out there that just look fancy and have RGB lights and stuff like that. So we have 8 of those on here. I have the fan protectors on both sides here to protect, because you know sometimes the cards bang up against or the cables do on this. This is the 12 GPU. This is one from AAA Wave. This video isn't sponsored by AAA Wave and anything like that. I just have the risers and this set up and ready to go. So let's take a look here down below. Let me rotate our frame a little bit. Okay, so we'll start from the top here. This is a cheap bronze Aries Game 750 watt power supply. I bought a bunch of these when I first started getting into mining, and I've continued to use them. They work great. They're not modular in any way, really. You can see off the back here, you know. So taking a look, we have that 750 watts. It's powering our motherboard. We'll talk about that in a minute. And it's gonna go ahead and power 2 of our GPUs. Might as well utilize them, right? On the other end of the spectrum, what I love to do, I love to pair an ATX with a server power supply. It's like get a cheaper ATX and then go ahead and get the server power supplies, and man, just it saves some money, especially if you guys remember in the bull run to get like the 1,000 watt or 1,200 watt EVGAs. Oh my gosh, they were like what, $300–400? It was crazy. So 1,200 watt power supply, these go for like 40 bucks now. And then a breakout board. If you guys need, by the way, links to any of this stuff, I'm gonna put it all down below. Create a nice little laundry list. You guys can get them. They will be referral links. Doesn't cost you anything more, but it goes ahead and gives me a little something to keep business moving. So we will be using, because I have several of these boards sitting around, complete overkill. We don't need this, but we have these guys, so we're gonna use it. The ASRock H110 Pro BTC motherboard. We do have that set up. We have 8 gigabytes of memory. You only really need 4. And then this one can support a boatload of GPUs. We're definitely not gonna use all of these, but we have the board sitting around. They're super reliable. They're easy to configure. And so I'm like, hey, why not, you know, right? Exactly. Remember when these were like, what is it, 500 bucks or something stupid? Now you can get them so easily, it's crazy. All right, finally, hard drive. Solid state drive, not required. You can use like a USB drive, but I don't use USB drives for any of my rigs, all solid states. This one is a GPU risers, 64 gigabyte. Had this one sitting around in my inventory. We are gonna be running Hive OS on it. So, all right guys, I got work to do. wiring is complete. Oh man, it's been a while since I've done one of these rigs. It is nice that it's only 8 GPUs, 4 on the bottom, 4 on top, and I staggered them. Man, I remember back when we would do 12 GPUs in here, and it was just so tight and hard to work with. That's why I didn't record the cabling part, but I'll give you guys some view. She ain't pretty, but it's a GPU mining rig. So we do have everything installed, good to go. We did all of our 580s down here, the XFX up top here. Here's our 590, Sapphire Nitro, MSI, and our ASRock. So down below here, take a look at some of the rat's nest here. So PCI cables all over here. These are the lovely yellow and black ones. These are the 6 to 6+2 that go up to the cards, as well as our power supply over here. And in the back, you can see all of our PCI adapter cards as well. If you guys are like, how in the world, do you boot this? Well, the way I do it is I just go ahead and power on the ATX power supply second. What I do is I just power this on first. That gives power to all the cards except for 2, because remember, 2 of the cards are powered by our ATX power supply. And then when you turn on the ATX power supply, the board comes on and bam, it sees all of the graphics cards that are using our second power supply here. So what's next? Well, I do need to go ahead. I'm going to take my solid state drive and I'm going to plug it directly into this adapter. And the adapter is going to plug directly into my computer via USB. If you don't have one of these, highly recommend you get one. I'll put a link directly down below. They're so useful, so nice. This one's actually overkill. It's a replicator. If you put it in here and press the button, it'll replicate hard drives. But we're going to get this HiveOS installed, as well as get our config file on here for our miner. So when we boot this up for the first time, it'll boot directly into our HiveOS. If you've never done that before, I'll put a link to that video in the upper right-hand corner, as well as down below, step-by-step instructions on installing HiveOS for beginners. All right, let me get that done, and then we'll get this thing booted up. All right, so we have HiveOS installed on our solid-state drive, and we do have that put back into our mining rig. To show you guys real quick, one thing I did have to do, and I wanted to make sure that I did show this to you, is the slots down here can sometimes be really goofy with the H110 Pro. So if you're in this situation, you think to stack them all together and then it boots up, but these are so close together that sometimes they make contact and actually don't, recognize the GPU. So I've seen people like Chump Change, which I think is a really good idea. If you guys aren't familiar, he's another content creator in the scene. He wraps some of these with like electrical tape, and I think a few other creators do as well that you guys might save videos on. I ended up spreading them out and did okay with that to make sure that everything would boot properly. So to be transparent, I have booted this entirely already and gone ahead and made sure that everything showed up in HiveOS. And it probably took me about a half hour of kind of moving these things around, double checking cables. Some things were plugged in, some things weren't. So now we're ready to get started again. So I have my Ethernet here. We're gonna plug that in. I do have 2 cables coming out of my mining room here, plugged in into our mining room, into some of our ports there. So our first one's going to go into our ATX power supply, and our second one, it's all twisted. Let's get that undone. Is going to come over here and go into our server power supply. So as I recommended, if you're running something like this, the server power supply is not tied in any way to anything else. It's just the GPUs. So we're going to come back here, and there's a button on the breakout board. You'll see it turns on those lights there. So you'll start to actually see the GPUs actually come on. You can see some of those the GPU risers come on as well. So now that that's done, we're going to come back down here, and now this board is set to power on when AC power is provided to it. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit the switch, and there we go. All right, let's jump over to the computer and we'll take a look, and we'll get this thing configured. All right, so we're in HiveOS and we are ready to get started. So as you guys can see, we can have all of our 8 GPUs are in here and set and good to go. All of our 580s with one 590. So now let's get a flight sheet applied. Okay, so I prepped one already. Coming in here, here is what we're working with. We have, I'll just go ahead and edit, show you guys what we got. So we have our KASPA in here. We have our wallet added in here. I'm using the KASPA core wallet. We're mining 2 hero miners, and then we're using Team Red Miner. Other than that, nothing else fancy, nothing else too crazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and apply that, and then we'll see what these cards do with no overclock settings in place. All right, so we are up and running and mining Kaspa on our 580s, and you can see we're doing pretty decent. Completely stocked though, we're at 1.5 gigahash on Kaspa. We have 194, 184, 180s, it's about 180s, 190s, depending on the memory, as well as our 590 though is almost up over 240 mega hash alone. Let's swap over to HiveOS. We'll refresh here. HiveOS a little bit more friendly on the eyes, and you can see we're doing pretty good. But where the big one is look at our watts. The watts are just crazy, way too high. So we're right now 1.5 gigahash, and based off of just HiveOS, which is an estimate here, we're at 961 watts. We're probably closer to about 1200 watts, give or take. But let's get some overclock settings in place that I went ahead and found. If you guys aren't subbed to him, go over Iggy Crypto, look him up. He has all these videos out there. There's one right here for the RX580 Kaspa mining HiveOS. He's saying right around 150 megahash at 70 watts. So in his video here, he does do a lot of Hynix memory and Micron memory versus like most of mine are Samsung. So we'll see how this does. But he has some really good overclock settings I'm going to apply, and then we'll come back and see how our rig does. All right, guys, we are going to claim some hardcore victory here. Huge shout out to Iggy Crypto. Let's take a look. So we're about 140, 150. One of the 580s is at 160, and then our 590 is at 190. But guys, take a look at those watts. 57 watts, 75 watts, 65 watts. So there's definitely some fine tuning we can do. But look at that 590, 190 mega hash at 66 watts. We were at 1.5 gigahash to 1.2, so a little bit of a decrease, but the watt consumption in the software, we were at 960. Now we're at 495. This is a huge home run, and with some tweaking, because you can see we have a variety of memory in this rig. Samsung, Micron, and yeah, Samsung, Micron, that's it. For some reason, I thought I had Hynix, but it doesn't look like I do. That's what Iggy Crypto was running, but man, this is awesome. So I'm super excited. I haven't been mining Kaspa. I've had all my other rigs are on Flux, but this gives me an opportunity to stack Kaspa, which I'm definitely looking forward to. So guys, the RX580s, I'm not going to sell them. I have no reason to. I can mine now with my RX580s in January. We're just about into February of 2023 and put them on something that makes sense. Home run here with Kaspa. I got to give guys a huge shout out to Iggy Crypto. I'm going to link him a million times, talked about him a million times, because this is huge. I mean, I thought about selling my RX580s. It didn't make sense. They'd be perfect for, home gaming rigs and such, a low end like 1080s types of setups. But hey, we have a home for them and a use for them, and I'm super excited. So guys, let me know. Are you just as eager as I am to get your 580s up and running? Leave a comment. Did you know that this was an opportunity that you could use your 580s now? I didn't at all. And Iggy Crypto posting this about 10 days ago. I'm subscribed to him, saw it right away, and I was like, woo! We got a light bulb came on, and we're ready to get mining with these. So anyways, guys, that's going to wrap things up for today. Love to read your comments down below on the 580s, on Kaspa. I mean, it's not insanity, but we can do something with them, which is great. Well, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. It's been a while since I built an open frame GPU mining rig. It was a blast. I had a lot of fun. If you guys enjoyed the video, give it one of these. And finally, if you're brand new to the channel, just checking this out, don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed yourself. Take care. Over the last 12 months, I've been working with a handful of designers on a special project, and I'm excited to announce that that project is now live. Let me introduce you to a new apparel web store, hobbyistminers.store, hardware merch for enthusiasts just like you and I. Working with a few designers, we decided to launch the store with 17 unique NVIDIA Founders Edition graphics card designs. These designs are all custom made, unique, and one of a kind. What's your favorite Founders Edition? Was it the GTX 1080 Ti? Or maybe the RTX 2080? We can't forget about the RTX 3060 Ti, or how about everyone's favorite, the RTX 3070? So what's different about hobbyistminers.store? Well, every 3 months, these designs will be decommissioned and gone forever, making them a limited time run. But no fear, every 3 months, brand new designs will be released of your favorite graphics cards. To give you an idea, hobbyistminers.store has 68 designs in reserve to be released over the next 12 months. Go check out hobbyistminers.store today and their winter collection, only for sale until March 31st. Then they're gone. But no fear, the spring collection is standing by. Go check it out, www.hobbyistminers.store.